on the field. Come on, let's have a nice clean one, okay? Come on, we don't want to have a fight and stuff,
Let's take a look at a little Kardashian curse, shall we, Pete? Because it turns out that there is indeed a curse that the Kardashians have brought to the NBA. And not everybody knows about it, but some people, I'm sure Dave Portnoy and others know about it. We thought we'd show you what happens when one of the Kardashians shows up to root for one of the teams in the NBA.
In 15 years since the biggest curse in the NBA began, and my Knicks just got eliminated because of it. Huge thanks to Timothy Chalamet for turning bandwagon Knicks fan to spread the curse to this beautiful city. Oh, you
it's
don't know
cursed, John. Cursed.
Let me break this down for you. Nearly 15 years ago,
look at that.
Chris Humphries was the
There's
first
my guy,
who got
Chris
out of the
Humphries.
NBA quick.
University of Minnesota, right, Pete?
University of Minnesota. I played ball with his dad, who was a guard and a center for the football team. But the kid got some hype from somewhere. I don't know where.
Another shout out to Kendall. Chandler Parsons.
Another shout out to Kendall.
Jordan Clarkson.
Another shout out to Kendall.
Oh, yeah, Devin
It is
Booker
pretty amazing, though. This curse is real.
Yeah.
I don't usually buy into that kind of crap, but it's kind of right there in front of us, right?
Tristan Thompson, who cares? And now Timothy Chalamet bringing this horrible spell to my glorious.
Look at Brunson. He's like,
the glorious
the Kardashian curse needs to
Big
stop.
Cat's going to ask for her to leave.
Basketball players, and do they have to be good basketball players in order to get your attention?
Man, well,
nope.
It's unfortunate. It is unfortunate, but I'm starting to believe in this thing, John. There is a curse out there, and I had not heard about it, but I do know what happened with Chris Humphries. By the way, that marriage lasted, I think, a grand total of 90 days. So gives you a little bit of an idea. There's kind of a walk in through the door and run out through the door kind of a thing going on there. Since we started with that, John, I'm going to jump right to the NBA. So the regular season, we already know ratings were pretty crappy, and as a matter of fact, dropped again, right? The playoffs, though, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday, the playoffs, that's a little bit of a different story. We've had some really nice jumps in the playoffs. Matter of fact, up about 12% year over year for that. So what do you think, John, going into this? We've got the two small market teams. We all know that. But the one advantage here is there are some really young players that are really outstanding basketball players right now in the NBA. Matter of fact, one of them is this year's very best MVP. So it makes you kind of wonder with all these young stars, could they get some ratings? I'm going to say still no. And the problem is, if OKC plays like they did all season, including how they blew out the Timberwolves, we talked about that yesterday, 16 points, 25 points, 42 points, 56 points. I mean, just crazy. They weren't even games any longer. If that's what this turns into against Indiana, I would say that these ratings might be the worst they've ever had for the finals. What do you think?
Well, Pete, I'm going to say that the NHL has a similar problem.
Yeah.
Because they have some big market teams in the NHL, but they've got the Oilers and the Florida Panthers.
Right.
That ain't a recipe for ratings, but hockey is a little bit of a different animal. Outside of the Four Nations or whatever it was when the U.S. went up there and Canadian fans booed the national anthem, and our guys just went after the Canadians right at the,
that
right
was
at the
great.
Oh, yeah. Well, and then the Canadians, in fairness, got their revenge in Boston when they came back and beat the Americans in Boston to win it. But that was a great way for the NHL to focus fans on that league, which has really been mainly people in the arenas, not on TV. You said the ratings for the finals were up, or for the playoffs were up, and you're, of course, right. They were up about 3%. It's better than down. I don't think these are going to be very good, Pete. And you hit the nail on the head about if these guys indeed have some blowouts. I think the officials will try to keep it from being a blowout. But if there's a blowout, people are just not going to watch, no matter how good the basketball is. Sure, you'll get Oklahoma and OKC fans watching, but even the Pacers fans won't watch if after the first two games they're seeing something like the Minnesota series shaping up. So they've got to cross their fingers and maybe maybe even make sure the officials are aware of who's paying their checks, who signs the check.
Yeah, I think you're right. Adam Silver, he's still, you know what? That's a guy that I don't know how he's not on the short list of guys maybe to get cut and out at some point in time, John. Just
he deserved it more than Thibodeau.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're exactly right on that. All right, I had one fun one, and this came from a guy in the gym who watches every single day at the Rebels Edge. Absolutely loves it. Wonderful guy, smart guy. And he said to me, he goes, Pete, you know what? I got a question for you. If NIL existed, basically going back to when you and John were coming out of high school and going into college, so quite a while ago, both of us. But he goes, what do you think, like what names pop out to you that would have gotten some serious money, back in the day or whatever? And so here's my list, and you could either agree or add some to it, either way. Number one, I think Tim Tebow coming out probably would have really gotten some unbelievable NIL money, John. All he did was have 2 national championships and a Heisman Trophy. How about Bo Jackson? And he was probably, Tim would probably get between 5 and 10 million. I think Bo Jackson might be in that same ballpark. Running backs are always a little bit different, even at the NIL level. But Bo does know, and Bo is a Heisman Trophy winner and probably the greatest athlete in the last 100 years, I would say, for sure, at least in my opinion. But how about this little small list outside of that? How about Brian Bosworth? Because the Boz, John, not only was the guy a really good football player, and he was for people who don't think he was, and they always go back to the time he got run over, like that was the greatest thing ever. No, it really wasn't. The guy was a hell of a linebacker and colorful, right? I mean, who's more colorful than Brian Bosworth on the foot? He would sell tickets for Oklahoma. Tony Mandrich, how about Peyton Manning? I'll throw in maybe even a Reggie Bush, although Reggie Bush kind of got NIL when NIL didn't exist yet, when he was playing for USC, if you know what I mean. So I don't know. What do you think, though? Do you have anybody on the list that you like that I left out? I think it's kind of fun just to think about some of these guys over the years that really could have broken the bank for NIL, I think.
Well, what I would say, Pete, is the Pony Express, as I have expressed in the past. The Pony Express, they were getting paid pretty well. In fact, I don't think the NFL could equal what they were getting paid by the SMU alumni and so forth. They got the death penalty, folks. So basically, those two in the backfield were pretty much unstoppable. And, were they getting a lot more than other players were under the table back when that was a thing? I think that is the case. I will bet you neither one made as much in the NFL legitimately as they might have made under the table. That's just a rumor. But I'll tell you, one of the modern day ones, Pete, Cam Newton. Yeah. Because Cam's dad was rumored to have his hand out. Again, rumored. I'm not saying he did. I'm just saying the rumor was that Cam's dad got paid after he came out of, wasn't it JUCO, Pete? Right to the Auburn Tigers and or the War Eagles, whichever. I think they go by both, don't they, Pete?
Yeah.
Auburn,
they have that eagle. Yep.
But anyway, I think that guy would have been worth a lot, and obviously just played the 1 year really, and then went right to the NFL #1 pick. Led him. Was a fabulous player. You and I got to see him when Ron Rivera was coaching the team, and because he respected Rivera, he was very nice to us. But I think to a lot of other people, he probably doesn't have time for a lot of other people. That's just my guess, Pete. But
he's colorful. I'll tell you that.
I bet he made an awful lot of money in college. Just a rumor, but I'm passing that rumor along.
I think that's a great one, and I had forgot about Cam. The Pony Express kind of doesn't count in a way because they got NIL when NIL didn't exist. So I put them off to the side. But and I'm sure Cam Newton might be in the same ballpark. Who knows? But you know what? Great players, a lot of fun. I love the fact that the guys in the gym all kind of got together and we started kicking around names, and that's how this whole thing got going. And I figured, you know what? That's a good segment. Let's do that for sports. So credit to my guy Drummer. Did a great job, and I appreciate it. And he might start being my guy to give me 1 or 2 every week or whatever he thinks is a good way to go. So I like it.
Well, you can always send us suggestions, folks. Pete's Twitter is at PETE Najarian, NAJARIAN. And mine is just JON, same last name, Najarian, NAJARIAN. Shoot us some ideas that you have that you'd like us to cover. We'd be happy to at least consider it. And we don't do the Rebel's Edge on Fridays because generally speaking, we travel on Fridays. So Pete and I will be back again Monday. What time, Pete? I forget. I can't remember. What time?
1 p.m. Eastern time every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday only.
Bang. We'll see you Monday.